Hello, and welcome to another Feature Friday. Thanks so much for joining us last week, and hopefully you had a chance to do some exploring in the portfolio. We value your comments and your feedback, so please share with us if you have any comments or questions. Feel free to put it there in your comment section. If you're joining us live today, let us know where you are and what you teach. Let us know so we know a little bit more about you.
Or how you're doing today. I know it's crazy weather all over the United States and I guess the world too, right?
Yeah, definitely. So today we're going to talk a little bit about our built-in highlight tool, which is available within the teacher and student editions of the FlexText and also in the grading and feedback window. So this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. Active reading strategies have been a part of my teaching practices for a very long time, and teaching students how to interact with what they're reading and how to effectively take notes and reference later are skills that every student needs to develop. They need that time to figure out their best practices, their own best practices, so that they can understand what they've read and remember what they have either seen, heard, those reactions that they have to their text. And our built-in highlighting tool can help with that. But the highlight tool is not just for students. This is also for teachers. This is a great tool for you to use while you're planning, to take notes on direct instruction, help with providing feedback to your students. So we are curious. We want to know, what types of note-taking strategies do you use yourself, or what do you use with your students when you're engaging with online content?
And feel free to add that to the comments at any time throughout our broadcast. We are going to switch over into a quick demo for those of you who might be new to the highlight tool. We're going to show you how to use that. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. And Amy said, as Amy said, that highlight tool is built right into the FlexText. And so what you see here is a student account. And on that FlexText tab, the students have access to a lot of different tools up here in the toolbar. But this kind of notepad indicates the highlight tool. And what we see here are previously created highlights that are all gathered in this section. What's really great is that these show the color that a student has added or a teacher has added. We'll show you a teacher side in just a minute. They're also clickable. So, you and your students can scroll through your list and you can simply select a highlight and be taken to its location in the text. So that's a really great feature. Your students can use this to quickly locate something, in that FlexText without having to navigate through the pages or click around. So we're going to show you how to set that up. Now, what I have here is a highlighted section, and I've left a note. So if you or your students wanted to continue creating highlights, you would simply take your cursor and you can highlight a section of the FlexText. And what appears is a pop-up with a couple different colors. So you have 5 different colors to choose from. If you use a color-coded system, or maybe your students are using a color-coded system, they could create some sort of key or legend that they use with each of these highlights. So in this case, I'm going to indicate with blue that it's a vocabulary word. So I might select it as blue. I can also add a note. So I could say something like why. If I wanted to do a translation, I could just say vocabulary, and then I'd select my color, and now I have my note created. So then students can go through, they can highlight anything that they see here. They can highlight large sections, they can go back through, and they can even edit. They can select that and say something like add to portfolio if they are needing to indicate something that they need to do. And when they click save, then their changes are saved on that highlight. Moving over into the teacher side. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the teacher side. Let me go back to that FlexText. Here we are in the student edition, which is what the teachers have access to. So teachers have access to a student edition as well as the teacher edition of the flex text. With our highlight tool, these highlights are separate. So what's highlighted in the student edition is separate than what's highlighted in the teacher edition. So the teacher edition could be used for, your own planning purposes, and then maybe you use that student edition for instruction related highlights that you would like to quickly access something. And these highlights are carried throughout all of your flex texts for one level. So you don't have to go into each individual class and make those highlights. Anytime that you're teaching with a specific text level, those highlights will be seen. In your teacher edition, it's the same thing. Whatever that teacher edition is for that level, your highlights will all be collected across that teacher edition. So here I might want something, perhaps if I need to link out, I have a great video that they want to watch. Maybe I want to share something. Maybe I want to do my planning. I can do the same thing that a student's doing, and I can highlight entire sections and leave notes for that for myself. And then in something like the teacher edition, what you're going to see now is that these are different. So I've added highlights to the student edition of this level. Now I'm in the teacher edition, and my highlights are their own. Amy, do you have any other tips or tools that you want to, tips or actions you want me to share when we're talking about the flex text before I move over into how to use it in the grading window?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, everybody will find their own strategies for how to use it. I definitely like the feature where you can click and find activities very easily. So if you make a note that you want to do, let's say this video blog, you want to do this activity with your students on Monday, you put that as a note in your notes page, and then you can click on it so you have it ready. It's a very easy system to find things, easy way for you to also alert students for what they need to find. You could tell them to add those notes so that everybody has that note-taking side. We're used to, now that much of this is online, and we're encouraging students to use those online skills, finding ways to interact with that content. It's really critical that we show the students how to use note-taking skills online. Go ahead, Tara.
Oh, no, I was going to say that, thinking about also too, helpful ways for them to find maybe special vocabulary or target structures that you're using throughout the text. You could instruct them where to create a highlight. So then the whole class is creating a highlight. You could ask them as part of their maybe homework or individual time to go find those things. And what's great is we have a search bar. Oops, of course, went to the wrong button. We have a search bar in that within that highlight tool. And so you could select, for example, vocabulary, and then all of those notes that are labeled or have the highlights that have that note that says vocabulary would all be populated and come into a narrowed view. So those are some really great strategies for just ways that you can organize those gathered highlights.
And we can also, before you move on to the grading and feedback window, using our instructional strategies toolkit is a great way to find some other strategies or ways to use those note-taking skills, the different things that students can do. You can easily search here for some of the strategies. I have a few noted here. And you just you take some of the traditional things that maybe you would do on paper and now try it out with the flex text and see how that might work.
Okay, so we're going to move over into the second way that you can use our highlight. So we showed you how you can use it in the flex text, how you can use it for note taking, how you can use it for planning. Another really powerful way to use the highlight tool is in the grading and feedback window. So here, what you see I'll make this a little bit bigger. Hopefully that's easier. This is a sample. This is a level 1 class, and this is an example where students are going to be entering a long answer. Anytime that your students are typing in an answer in one of our task activities, you can use this highlight tool. So what we see here is I'm in the teacher side. A student has submitted a task activity, and here is their answer. So they've typed this answer in. And what I can do is I can select parts of their writing and add a highlight and a note. So here we see a student has incorrectly used this form. So what I can do is highlight that text. And, I used a coded system for feedback. I never fully corrected my students. I would tell them, hey, something's wrong with this. So this might be a really good way you could establish what each of these colors might represent. So in this case, right, we're looking at a verb error. So you might want to say to your student, verb, right? It could be whatever that code is for you. It could be maybe agreement. And then maybe we've designated those things as purple. So then when you save that, your student is going to then see that highlight that you've left for them. Again, we can just go ahead and select these and add purple. You can add a note. So we'll call it a verb. And then we'll have another color. So this one is an agreement issue. Maybe we'll say agreement and we'll call it blue. So then when you have left that feedback, you can also, of course, leave audio or video feedback or written feedback on the overall student submission as well. And then you could tell them, please pay attention to the highlights that I've left.
And that's a great opportunity for the students to see that there is something that they can improve upon, and they can go back, and if you have allowed them multiple attempts, they can go back in and make their corrections based off of that feedback that you've left with those notes.
Most definitely. All right. So for those of you guys who are watching, is there anything else that you'd like to see us do with this awesome built-in highlight tool that we have on the Flex Text as well as on the task submission responses? So just let us know in those comments.
And let us know also, what is your favorite feature of the highlight tool? What are some of the things that you like? How do you like to use it, either in your own edition of the Flex Text or the student edition of the Flex Text? Let us know in the comments.
Go ahead. I'm pulling up. There we go. So while we're waiting for you guys, if you want to share anything, I'll go ahead, and I've moved over. So now this is what we see on the student side. Sorry, that is a little bit small to see. Here we are. Okay, so when your students see this highlight, then they will see that note that you've left as well as the colors. And then as Amy said, they can go back in, they can review their work and attempt again and make corrections to those errors that you have maybe highlighted or the feedback that you've provided.
Great. Well, we hope you have gotten a lot from this episode today, that you learned a few new things about our highlighting tool, and you hopefully are excited to try it out either in your own Flex Text, add a few more things in maybe your grading and feedback of your student work. Let us know how things go. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at any time. Next episode, we will be talking about how to navigate content. Questions often, where do I start? What do I do? Where do I find things? That's what we're going to talk about next week. So we'll talk about navigating content on the learning site. Again, if you have any questions about this topic or about any other topic that you would like us to talk about, you can email us at instructionaltechnology@waysidepublishing.com. Or you can visit the help menu and leave us a question there. So we hope you have a fabulous Friday, great weekend, and we will see you again next week.